Serving their community is who they are because they love where they live. REMAX 3D Real Estate is proud to bring you Heart of Greenville, a video series dedicated to celebrating all the wonderfully great things about Greenville, Texas. On every episode, Dennisha Thacker will share Greenville's story through the stories of people who call Greenville home. This is Heart of Greenville.
Thank you so much for watching Heart of Greenville. Our show would not be possible without our sponsors, so I want to give a quick shout out to REMAX 3D Real Estate and to Triton Networks. Triton Networks is your one-source community provider for all of your business needs, including your voice, the cloud-based services, and network solutions. REMAX 3D Real Estate has been serving our community for a multitude of years and loves helping all of the buyers and sellers. Our special guest today was Mr. David Weiland. Not only is he also in the real estate business, he's also a fellow Rotarian, and he had so many stories about how he got here and different things that he has done over the course of his life, including jumping out of airplanes. Here's my conversation with David. Hey y'all, I'm Dennisha Thacker, your host of Heart of Greenville, and today we're sitting down at the Landmark on Lee Street on the 3rd floor at the Landing. And my guest today is Mr. David Weiland. How are you today, David?
Oh, I'm fine. I'm glad to be here, and I appreciate the invitation.
Absolutely. Thank you for saying yes.
Yeah. Well, we had to work out some logistics, but I'm here.
Yes, and I appreciate that so much. And I know that you're headed down to Rotary next to go bring on the new Rotarians and getting them up to speed and initiated.
I'm going to be giving a new member orientation. I do that once a month for all the new ones.
Well, I'm so glad you do that. And just by the way, I love serving with you in Rotary.
Yes, we've been doing this together for quite some time.
We have. Listen,
I don't know how long.
I joined in 2008. Do you remember what year you joined?
About that time.
About that. I was thinking it was sometime.
Well, I first joined Rotary in 1978. This is my 4th experience in Rotary. This one, you didn't know that either.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
Well, this will be your last stop, right? The one in Greenville, Texas.
It is. Yeah, I'm going to finish my days here.
I love that. And you and I have served. We've gone to Cozumel to help with our students down at the camp school together.
Quite a few times.
Yes. Well, David, I want people to get to know your story. You've been here for a long time, but you have done so much before you actually came here, and you've done so much since you've been here. And so let's start with, where you grew up and how you got here and how you came to Greenville and what keeps you here in Greenville.
Well, I am not a Texan, though I'm going to finish my days here. I was born in Nashville, Tennessee at Vanderbilt Hospital, raised maybe 40 miles west of there, small town called Dixon, Tennessee. You may have seen it on the news this week. It's right there where all the flooding took place in Tennessee. It took place in the county just to the west, but there was a lot of Dixon County that was flooded too. I've called and checked on my friends, and they're all doing well. But from Dixon, Tennessee, I moved to Nashville and then to Somerset, Kentucky, Cave City, Kentucky, Dahlonega, Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia, and then in 96 I moved to Texas. Now, I didn't come directly to Greenville. I came to Greenville in 97. I moved first to Dallas. Then I moved to Hunt County. Mm-hmm. I was actually on Lake Tawakoni with a Lone Oak address, and I lived there for 20 years prior to moving close to Commerce. But that's kind of how I've migrated different places.
We're going to have to break some of this down, David.
Sure, yeah.
Let's talk about what did you primarily do? What was your primary career before you came to Greenville?
Well, I've been the CEO of several hospitals. I ended up, after an 11-year struggle, getting a college degree in healthcare administration, and I was the CEO of several hospitals. I quit doing that in 1985, went to work with a healthcare company, became their vice president of sales. It was a transcription service, and I went with 3 different companies doing that particular job. In fact, that's what relocated me to Texas. I was living in Atlanta, and I sold so much business in Texas, primarily Houston, and then some in Dallas, that my company required I moved to Texas, and I didn't want to. I came kicking and screaming because I lived in the mountains of North Georgia at that time, and I've never been to a more beautiful place with the mountains and the greenery and all of that, but I agreed to move to Texas, and here I am. I'll stay.
Okay. Being a CEO of a hospital is not an easy task. What drew you to that position to do that?
Well, prior to that, I was selling surgical supplies to hospitals.
Okay.
And quite frankly, I decided that I wanted to be a physician. And when I started to college, I was a pre-med major. But I started too late in life. I started when I was 29, finished when I was 40. But I realized that my children were going to grow up without me. I had a lot of years in front of me. I was making very good grades. And who knows, I think I could have finished, but that would we'll never know. But I decided to change my major to healthcare administration because of that, because I wanted to be with my children and be involved in their upbringing and their sports and their schooling and that sort of thing. So prior to that, my mother was a nurse, and I've just always been around medical discussions, and then I became a surgical supply salesman and learned all the products and just gravitated to it. It was no thunderbolt that came out of the sky and said, "Thou shalt be a CEO." Nothing like that. It was just a gravitational thing where I was led into it.
What was it like to lead and be the CEO of a hospital? What was it like?
Well, it's like being the CEO of any large business. My last position, it was we had something like a $15 million budget, which is not big by regional standards, but it was fairly large. I was employed by Georgia Baptist Medical Center, and they had management contracts with various hospitals. And they located me on site in Dahlonega, Georgia. Beautiful, beautiful town, the site of the first gold rush in the United States. People don't know that, but it was. You've heard of the Trail of Tears?
Yes.
Cherokee Inn, it started there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and they ended up west from there, but that's where all of that started. I learned that history while I was there. I didn't know it till I got to Dahlonega. I loved it. I've still got friends there. I've got a son that still lives there. I go there 2 or 3 times a year. I was there in April, I guess it was.
You tend to go back home periodically. I know you have like a reunion with some of your is it your football guys?
We have a football team reunion every year. I've got class reunions I go to. I've got family that lives 30 minutes from where I was raised. 2 brothers in Clarksville, Tennessee, 1 brother in Smyrna, Tennessee. So I go there often. I know the route.
I bet you do.
Yeah, I know the route. It's a 12-hour drive, and that's just what I do.
Well, and there's something about that 12-hour drive. You're going home.
Yeah, sure.
And getting to go back and see your family and be a part of that.
Yeah, the trip there is much quicker than the trip back. That's true on any trip.
It is. That's so true.
Yeah.
Okay, well, there's some other things, some other little nuggets we've got to pull out, and I'm glad I happen to know some of these. So let's talk about you being a pilot.
Well, I got my pilot's license in '78. Well, I was always interested in aviation. I used to go hitchhike when I was a kid. I used to hitchhike to the airport.
Really? Like walking, thumb up?
Thumb up, hitchhike. Wow. We didn't have an airport in the time. My mother and father didn't know I did it. But I hitchhiked to the next town where they had an airport. I would wash someone's airplane for a ride. And I used to do that pretty often.
And how old were you when you did that?
When I started doing that, I might have been 13 or 14.
Okay. Wow.
And I would join the Civil Air Patrol. I was a Civil Air Patrol cadet. And I just was always interested in aviation. Then when I finally got to be an adult and could afford it, I started taking flying lessons, and I got my pilot's license in '78 and did quite a bit of flying. And then I moved to Dahlonega, Georgia. They had an airport, and I got more involved in flying. I actually joined the Civil Air Patrol again, and I bought my own airplane. I had a pretty fast, sophisticated airplane. Got my instrument rating, my multi-engine rating, my commercial rating, and then I joined the Civil Air Patrol again as an adult. Wow. And started a squadron there in Dahlonega, and I became the mission check pilot for the state of Georgia. For all pilots who qualified that wanted to fly search missions, I had to do a check ride with them and sign them off and make sure they knew what they were doing and do it correctly. And so I got real involved, and through that, I met Bill Elliott, who the former NASCAR race driver, because he lived close by. In fact, he was a member of our flying club for a while before he started making enough money to buy his own airplanes. And they ended up hiring me, and for 3 years, I flew to every NASCAR race, one of their airplanes, sometimes mine, to haul some family members. But for 3 years, I went to every NASCAR race, flying a single-engine, multi-engine airplane, whatever they had available to fly.
Wow.
So I did that. I really enjoyed it for a while, and then I was flying too much because I was working out of my own airplane, flying 5 days a week, or sometimes 5 days a week, and then on weekends I would fly to wherever the NASCAR race was.
Oh.
Except we didn't fly to California. It was just cost prohibitive to fly there. We flew commercially to that one, but all the rest of them I went to.
Wow. Do you still fly today?
The last time I flew an airplane was about maybe a year ago. A friend of mine owned one, and he couldn't land it properly and asked me if I would assist, and I did. But I have been thinking about getting a medical certificate and flying again. I've got some grandchildren I have not taken flying, and they want Papa to take them up.
Oh, you need to do that for them.
Yeah.
What's a medical certificate?
It's just a medical exam.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah,
you
and
have to pass
the third class medical is good for 2 years.
Okay.
You need to have that, and there's a BFR, biennial flight review. I have to go somewhere and just fly with an instructor to demonstrate that I still have the skills and safe to do it by myself.
That's great.
And I can do it. Your pilot's license is issued for life, but there are currency requirements.
Okay.
Currency means flying within a particular period of time, doing 3 landings, that sort of thing. But you have to have a medical certificate in order to prove that you're healthy enough to fly.
We almost need that for driving.
Well, probably should at some age.
Yeah. But
Truck
that's really
drivers
good.
have to have a DOT physical. It's the same kind of thing.
Right.
Just to prove that you're medically fit to operate whatever the vehicle is.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense, though.
Yeah,
That
same
you would do
thing.
that. And that makes you feel better, too. You're like, okay, I'm all checked out.
Yeah.
Ready
Well,
to go.
it should make someone feel better that's going to ride with you.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Okay, if you get that certificate, David, I need to go up with you.
Okay.
I haven't been up in a plane in a long time. I mean, commercial
Well,
ones, but
I've taken a lot of people up first ride, shown them how to pre-flight, start it, let them think they're taking off,
yeah,
and fly around.
that's fun. Now you've taken on flying to a whole different level now, where you're jumping out of the airplane now.
I've always wanted to do that, and I started a few years ago. I just 3 weeks ago, I guess it was, jumped my 4th time, and I am considering, I'm not committed yet to being able to do it by myself.
Oh, by
My
yourself.
jumps have been tandem jumps.
Okay.
And first time I was I have described it this way, the thrill of that experience is coming out of the airplane.
Is it
After the
actual first
parachute
step?
opens and you're floating around, that's fun. But the thrill is coming out of that airplane.
Man, I cannot imagine that feeling of just stepping off.
There was a small amount of anxiety the first time, but 2, 3, and 4, there was no anxiety. I was eager.
You're ready to go.
Yeah,
Like
really.
you want that rush.
I wanted that thrill. Yeah.
Is it addictive then? Would you say that it's almost addictive jumping out of the airplane to have that rush?
Well, I'm not there yet, but the
But
gentleman.
you still love to do it.
I love to do it. The gentleman that I was attached to a few weeks ago was 36 years old, and he had jumped. He had jumped over 14,000 times.
14,000.
They keep a logbook. Yes,
Wow.
that's all he'd ever done.
So what made you want to do it the very first time?
Just I want to experience thrills.
Was it your birthday? What?
Yes,
There was a milestone or something. I
Right,
think,
it
with
was
your
birthday.
First. Okay.
Birthday jumps
Okay, so you do it every year on your birthday.
on my birthday. As long as I get up and still know my name, I'm going to jump out of an airplane on my birthday, weather permitting. If I miss the weather because of the weather, then I'll do it the next opportunity. But I
Okay.
will continue to do it.
You keep doing it.
Yeah.
Now you've gotten some other people to come along with you. So who are some of the people who've started jumping with you?
A cowboy friend of mine who is a customer. His name is Heath Herndon. He's 4-time world champion rodeo star, and he is a customer. And we were talking, and I said, "You know what, Heath? Anybody would ride a bull would jump out of an airplane." He said, "Yeah, I'll do it. When you want to go?" Then after a while, he looked at me and said, "You know, anybody jump out of an airplane would ride a bull." I said,
Oh.
"No."
Oh,
No, I won't do that. I don't need that
you didn't
experience.
return that
And
experience?
then 2 years ago, 2 of my sons who live here in Texas went with me. One of them, told me, he said, "Daddy, I screamed like a little girl all the way down. I'll never do it again." And then a friend of mine who owns Autodoc,
Yes.
Tariq Nashuala, he jumped with me last year. And just recently, Rich Carter, the CEO of Hunt Regional, and his daughter and my son and Tarek. The 5 of us met at the White Wright Airport, and we all 5 jumped together, went up on the same airplane together.
How fun.
Yeah, and I've mentioned it with some of the guys I go to church with, and they want to do it. So we're going to have an outing with some of the deacons and perhaps even the pastor, and we're going to have a skydive together.
That is so cool. Have you ever had an experience where you were concerned that the parachute wasn't going to open, or no scares like that?
No. I know they have a reserve, and
Oh, okay.
yeah, if it doesn't open, they are trained to cut away and deploy the reserve. I just haven't worried about it.
So do you just show up and do it, or do you have to do
No,
any training?
you have to. No, there's no training. There's about 5 minutes instruction because, quite frankly, you're strapped to someone who is experienced, and they just ask you on the way down if you want to land on your feet or land sitting down.
Okay.
You can do either one.
Which way do you like?
I've done both. This last time I was landed sitting down just because I hadn't done that.
Okay.
And
so which do you prefer?
I don't care.
You don't care?
There's no difference.
David's like, just let me jump out of the plane. I'm good.
Get me down the best way you can. Let's do it safely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what kind of training do you go through for you to go by yourself, to not do tandem?
Well, they take you through a training regime. I think it takes a few hours, and then they jump with you. At this particular location, I understand that they will, when you have to do several tandem jumps to get it, to get the feel of it,
Right.
I should say, and then they're going to be jumping beside you and talking to you on the way down and telling you what to do.
Okay.
So they're real as careful as you can be with skydiving, but it seems like a silly thing to say, but
No, that's
they're
good,
as
though.
careful as they can be.
Yes.
I'm impressed with the safety concerns that they have there.
That's good. I'm asking all these questions because I really want to do
Well, you
that
wanna do it
someday.
too.
I do, but I just want to get my kids raised first.
Well.
Just in case something were to happen. I'm like, okay, let me get my kids out of high school.
I've done it 4 times, and I have seen several mother-sons combination, father-daughters. Well, Rich Carter and his daughter, they've
Yes.
not jumped. There's a lot of that goes on.
That is so
Yeah.
cool. Well, it's on my list. It's
Okay.
on my life list for one
Well,
of
tell
these
me when
days.
you want to go. I'll go with you.
And you'll go with me.
Anytime.
Awesome. That sounds like a date. That
Yeah,
sounds fun.
okay.
Well, let's talk about what you did when you came to Greenville. You came to Greenville. Were you still in the medical industry when you
I
came?
was. I was selling, when I came to Greenville, I was selling medical transcription services to hospitals.
Okay.
We would examine their costs, their expenses, and if we felt like we could save them money and be more efficient with transcription, we would do it. Now, transcription is when a physician will speak into a recording device, the transcriptionist will listen in their ears, and they will type out what they hear. That is
Okay.
transcribing. These are medical reports.
Okay.
Every patient gets a history and physical. If they have surgery, there's an operative report, and when they discharge, there's a discharge summary.
Right.
And all that has to be documented. Perhaps now it's all electronic, but still it has to be documented, and that's what we did.
Right.
And I did work for a company at one time, believe it or not, that the transcriptionists were in India.
Oh.
Yeah. And we were having amazing turnarounds with unbelievable accuracy.
That's incredible.
Believe it or not,
That's
gosh,
great.
20 years ago that was being done. I don't even know what's being done now. I don't think voice to text is that accurate yet.
Right. No,
But-
it's not for me. It doesn't have my southern slang. Siri just can't quite figure that out
Yeah,
yet.
yeah.
So how did you get into real estate? Because you
Well-
got into that when you were here too.
We just thought it was a good idea to. My wife was a VP of operations for a medical transcription company, and I was VP of sales for another one.
Okay.
And that's how I met her. She owned her own transcription company, sold it to the company that I was working for, and that's how we met. She was regional VP of operations. I was regional VP of sales at that time, and that's how we met. We were in the same business.
Okay.
So we started our relationship working together, which we still do.
Yes.
As she is a realtor, and we do work together. But
And y'all are a great team. You guys work
well,
so great together.
I have not jokingly, but some people think I joke, but we don't care who makes the sale with our team. We have one checking account.
That's right. It all goes to the same place.
Goes to the same place. But I concentrate on commercial lands, farms, ranches when I can, and she concentrates on residential, and we give each other referrals. You know how that,
Yes.
that can work in that business.
Yes.
So it works well for us.
Yes.
And we're together almost 24/7 some days, and that not every married couple can do that, but we can. We started out that way, and we'll finish our days that way.
I have watched the two of you do that all of these years and just loved and admired your relationship
Almost
so much.
finish our sentences for each other.
I can see that.
Yeah.
What are some of your favorite things that you guys love to do together?
Worship together. We serve the Lord at Van Sickle Baptist Church, and we're fairly active there. We do several things together there.
Good. I know you've always enjoyed serving men's groups, and you even went to seminary school at one point.
Yes, I've had quite a few seminary courses. Now, I did that here locally
Okay.
through the Hunt Baptist Association. They offer seminary courses.
Okay.
And I don't know how many I've taken, but a lot.
A lot.
And yeah.
I remember when you were doing that, and you were so passionate about really learning and understanding the Word.
Well, I still am. I teach a Bible class every week, and that requires quite a bit of preparation time. But I'm just one lesson ahead of the students, just like all teachers.
That's so true.
Yeah,
So true.
I love reading the Word and getting to understand it.
Well, David, you serve a lot, and you serve a lot in our community. Where does that come from inside of you?
Well, I think it's probably spiritually based. That's one of the things that I like about the Rotary Club. The motto for the Rotary Club is service above self. Now, Rotary is not political and it's not a religious organization.
Right.
But with a motto like service above self, that's where I come from on that. It's just serving others. If you've been given something, you need to share it.
Yes.
And I've been given a few talents, and I want to share it.
And I love that about you. You get passionate about something, and you will share it with everybody.
Well, I've been accused of being rather verbose.
I can't imagine why, David.
Yeah.
Well, we're on Heart of Greenville, so let's talk about some things that you love about Greenville.
Well, one of the first things that I noticed about Greenville when I came here was the way the community works together. I like music. I like to sing. I like to listen to music. And so the Greenville Entertainment Series and the Dallas Symphony at Greenville was a big attraction to me. And now they've got the GMA with various attractions coming in. And in recent past, the fiddle contest,
Oh, yes.
I forget the name
The
of
Bob
it.
Wills.
Bob Wills.
Fiddle Fun.
Just
Fiddle
all
Fest.
sorts of things going on. And then as I got active in Rotary, you and I attended a weekend
Oh, it really?
seminar one time. It was called Really.
Really, yes.
Rotary International Leadership Institute.
Yes.
Well, prior to that time, I was what we call a rhino, and that was a Rotary in name only. But that weekend, I got converted. You were
Yes,
there.
we did.
There was four
Yes.
of us there, and you were one
Yes.
of them, one of the four. And I realized what Rotary was all about.
Everybody should go through that weekend retreat.
I believe that. It was a great program. But then we started serving the CAM school in Cozumel. And I didn't go to the first few because you were there on February the 14th, Valentine's Day.
Yes.
And my red-headed granddaughter's birthday is February the 14th. And she was more important to me in being there for her birthday than going somewhere.
Yes.
But now that those dates have been changed, then Annette and I started going to Cozumel, and I don't know how many times we've been there.
We've been going
maybe-
for over 10 years now. So.
Well, I was on a cruise with my brothers. We have a brothers reunion every year
Oh,
too,
yes.
and we took a cruise. We ended up in Cozumel, and we went to see them with my brothers. So and then Annette and I have gone there on our own. So we've been there pretty often.
I love going to the island. It's like going
Yes,
home.
it
Now that we
is,
have all
it
those
is.
friendships
And
with other Rotarians
you've
there.
got friends there, and you've got a common goal of serving service above self. So
Yes.
why not go?
I know, and it just instantly makes you connected.
Sure,
Just
sure.
having that same common goal
Yeah.
of serving others. Well, David, I'm going to ask you one final question.
Final?
It's a random question. So I need you to pick a number between 1 and 20,
What?
and that's going to determine your final question.
Really? 13.
Okay. Tell me why you chose 13.
Because most people leave it out. That's the underdog.
I know.
I want to
love
help
13.
the underdog.
That's so you. Yes, there you go. 13.
I don't know where that came from, but
You do, but you always want to stand up for what's right and stand up for others.
Well,
for the
thank you.
people who can't
Thank
speak for
you.
themselves.
Thank you.
I have watched you serve and step up for them.
Thank
So
you.
I
Thank-
understand why you picked 13.
yeah.
Number 13, if you could change one thing about your upbringing, what would it be?
One thing, well, I wouldn't change my upbringing because that relates to my mother and dad. I had the best parents that anyone could have. But I probably would study more. I was not a good student. I just didn't think I had to. I played football and did pretty good, but I would study more.
Study more. And
I would have a better academic performance. Now, when I got in college, I did.
good.
But during early years in high school, I was one of those that's brought a report card home. David is capable, but he doesn't apply himself.
Well, you
but
changed that later.
I changed that. I discovered that I really enjoy studying and learning.
You do. That does surprise me that you didn't as a child
I
because
didn't.
you do
I didn't.
study.
I was a very poor student.
Well, you turned it around.
Yeah. I think I oozed testosterone out my pores.
Yeah,
That's
that
all I
could
thought
be
about.
the problem.
That's all I thought about.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And then you got a little older and
Yeah.
now. Well, David, thank you so much for sitting down with me today. I love serving with you as a Rotarian, but also in our real estate industry. I always enjoy working with you and Annette.
Well, yeah,
and-
we've done a few transactions
Yes.
together, and they've always went well.
Yes. Well, you guys are always so professional and on top of your business, and I
Well, thank
appreciate
you.
that.
Thank you.
know,
Thank you.
At the end of the day, we want our citizens to use local agencies, regardless of which
That's
one
right.
we're with.
That's right.
It's just that we stay local, and so I'm always happy to see one of your signs out in the yard.
Thank you very much for that, and I feel the same for you.
Thank you. Well, David, I appreciate it, and I'll see you at Rotary in just a little bit.
Okay, so bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for watching Heart of Greenville. This video series, which is designed to celebrate Greenville, Texas, is spearheaded by REMAX 3D Real Estate.